Most B2B marketing strategies aren't strategies. They're anxiety dressed up as a plan. I'll prove it to you in the next 9 minutes. Most marketing teams I have worked with do not have a GTM strategy. They have a wish list. It is buried in a Word doc or a deck somewhere. A bulleted list that says LinkedIn ads, maybe a podcast, some SEO, a PR roadshow, and definitely a referral program because someone on the leadership team heard that referral programs work really well. That is not a strategy. It is a list of activities. And the reason it feels like a strategy is that everyone is busy executing it, and busy looks like progress until you sit down 6 months later and realize nothing compounded. I spent more than 8 years inside fintechs, B2B platforms, and a global consulting practice, watching smart people build wish lists like this one, execute them for 60 hours a week, and then quietly wonder why the pipeline never caught fire. The problem was never effort. The problem was that nobody had ever forced us to answer 12 specific questions about our product in a single sitting. So I built a framework that forces the answers. I call it the GTM Canvas, and it fits on a single page. Here's what it looks like: 12 boxes, 4 layers, and one rule that holds the whole thing together. Every box has to be answered in exactly 1 sentence. That 1 sentence rule is the whole point. If you cannot answer a box in 1 sentence, you don't have a strategy yet for that box. You have a wish list. It is the difference between we run paid ads, some content marketing, and a few partnerships, and we acquire customers through a single inbound motion that runs on LinkedIn ads targeting the head of RevOps in Series B fintechs. The second is a strategy. The first is what makes people call the marketing team a cost center. Let me walk you through all 12 boxes. Layer 1 is who. This is the foundation. If you get this layer wrong, nothing else in the canvas matters. Box 1 is ICP, who you are selling to, with the precision of a sniper, not a shotgun. Mid-market SaaS companies is not an ICP. That is a category. An ICP is Series B to Series D B2B SaaS companies with 100 to 400 employees, a RevOps lead on the team, and a sales cycle longer than 45 days. The test I use is simple. You should be able to name 10 real companies that fit your ICP. If you can name 2,000, you haven't narrowed enough. If you can only name 3, you've narrowed past the point of a reasonable market. Box 2 is buyer jobs to be done. What is the job the buyer is actually hiring your product to do? Not the feature, not the outcome your marketing team promises, the real job. A head of marketing doesn't buy an email tool because she wants better email engagement. She buys it because her CMO asked her last week why the pipeline is down, and she needs a new chart for the next board deck. That is the job. Your product is the thing she's hiring to make that chart look better. Box 3 is Anti-ICP. This is the box most teams skip entirely, and it is the one that creates the most clarity once you fill it in. Anti-ICP is not just who you don't sell to. It is everything your product has explicitly decided not to be. The buyer types you're refusing, the use cases you're turning away, the features you're deliberately not building. Here is a great example. Netflix's Anti-ICP is live sports, user-generated content, and anyone whose average viewing session is under 5 minutes. That is not a target market exclusion. That is Netflix declaring what it has decided not to be, and that is why it is so clarifying. Layer 2 is what? This is the offer. What you actually hand to the buyer. Box 4 is positioning. The one sentence that tells the buyer why you exist. Not your mission, not your tagline. The sentence a buyer would use to describe you to a peer. It's like Stripe, but for insurance payouts is positioning. Empowering the future of commerce through innovative solutions is a war crime. Box 5 is pricing model, not the price. The mechanism, per seat, usage-based, flat, or hybrid. This is the single biggest GTM decision most founders make without realizing they are making it. Per-seat pricing locks you into a land and expand motion. Usage-based pricing sounds amazing until your finance team sits down to forecast next quarter and discovers they can't. Flat pricing is the easiest to sell, but it leaves serious money on the table when a buyer would have happily paid 5 times what you are asking. Each model implies a completely different motion downstream, which means you cannot pick channels or structure teams until you have picked this first. Box 6 is proof. The 3 things you can credibly say to make the buyer believe you. customer logos, case study numbers, a methodology nobody else has. Whatever your 3 things are, they need to be specific and verifiable. Trusted by industry leaders is not proof. Customers spend 3.5% less and close their books 8 times faster after switching is proof. That is the number Ramp puts in front of every buyer, and it is the reason their sales team doesn't have to fight for attention. Layer 3 is how you acquire. Box 7 is channels, the 2 or 3 places where your ICP lives at scale. 2 or 3, not 9. If your answer here is omni-channel, you don't have channels, you have FOMO. Most early-stage B2B companies only need 1 channel to work. 2 if they are lucky. 3 is a luxury most teams have not earned yet. Anything beyond that in the early days is the sound of a budget being set on fire. Box 8 is GTM Motion. Product-led, sales-led, hybrid, or community-led. The simplest version of this question is, who does the selling, the product, or a human? If your ACV is under $5,000 and the user can realize value in the first session, the product can do the selling. That is PLG. If your ACV is above $25,000 and the buyer has to convince a procurement committee, a human has to do the selling. That is sales-led. The awkward gap between $5,000 and $25,000 is where hybrid motions live, and it is where most founders get stuck pretending they have picked when they haven't. Box 9 is acquisition metrics, the 2 or 3 numbers that tell you acquisition is working, not a dashboard with 47 metrics. 2 or 3, usually CAC, CAC payback, and 1 leading indicator specific to your motion. The rule is, if a number changes and you don't know what to do about it, it's not a metric, it's a data point. Delete it. Now layer 4, this is the layer most GTM frameworks leave out entirely, and it is the one that decides whether your GTM compounds or leaks. Here's the thing about B2B in 2026. You don't really win customers anymore, you rent them. And the rent is due every month, every quarter, every renewal date. The first sale is just the trial. The real sale is the renewal, and it is happening quietly in the background whether you're paying attention to it or not. A customer who churns in month 3 doesn't just cost you the rest of their contract. They cost you everything you spent to acquire them, they cost you the word of mouth you would have earned, and they cost you the case study you were going to build around them. A leaky bucket doesn't just lose water, it discredits the tap. So here are the 3 boxes that decide whether the bucket holds. Box 10 is onboarding, how a new customer reaches value for the first time, and how fast. Time to value is the most underrated metric in B2B. If a customer signs up on Monday and has not experienced real value by Friday, they are gone. Not dramatically, quietly. They will stop logging in, miss the first follow-up email, and by the renewal date, they will have forgotten why they bought you in the first place. Box 11 is support and service. And I am going to say something that sounds strange, coming from a marketing newsletter. Your support experience is marketing, possibly the most important kind. Every time a customer hits a wall and you help them through it beautifully, you have earned another year of trust. Every time you don't, you have written the first draft of their churn reason. In an AI-assisted world where most support is becoming self-service or bot first, the companies that still invest in a human touch at the hard moments are going to win disproportionately. Trust is the last moat. Box 12 is the renewal trigger. Not the renewal date itself, the moment the decision actually gets made. Sometimes that is 6 months before the contract ends. Sometimes it is during a failed onboarding in week 2. Sometimes it is the day your account manager quits. Your job is to know when that moment is in your business and to architect the whole customer experience around reaching it on the right foot. If you cannot name the renewal trigger for your product, you are not doing retention. You are hoping. That is the canvas. 12 boxes, 4 layers, 1 page. Here's how you actually use it. Sit down with a blank version. Give yourself 1 uninterrupted hour. Phone in silent, Teams closed, the works. Try to fill in all 12 boxes, 1 sentence each. You will probably get through 6 or 7 before you hit the first one you cannot answer. That is the box that needs work. That is the box your strategy is secretly missing. The boxes you can fill in fast are the ones you already have conviction about. The boxes you cannot fill in are the ones where your team is going to disagree 3 months from now and you're going to lose a quarter sorting it out. Catching that disagreement now in a 1-hour exercise is worth more than any playbook I could ever write for you. One thing I didn't cover in this video: how Notion raised an $11 billion valuation in 2021 and then spent 4 years quietly growing big enough to deserve it. That is next Monday's Teardown. I will be using this exact canvas to break down what they got right and what most people miss about the story. The full written deep dive with templates and operator notes for every box is on my Substack. Link is in the description. If you want the canvas as a framework, you can actually print and pin to a wall. Subscribe there. See you next Monday.